All right, so I just heard from another client this morning, something again that always bugs me. And he says, you know, I've never heard anyone explain to me how taxes work before. And what you said makes perfect sense. You know, he went on to say, you know, that no matter where I go, you're going to always be my tax guy. And I really want to work with you. And I want all the knowledge you can give me and explain to me how I can save money and what I need to do. And so it's so important. I hear this literally, seriously, like every day of the tax season, and maybe once, twice a week, you know, not during the tax season. So I feel like it's my duty, it's my ethical responsibility to put the information out there as much as possible and let people know how this stuff works. And it all starts with the W-4, okay? The W-4 is a document that you give to your employer to tell them how much taxes to withhold from your paycheck to pay your tax liability, okay? This is your responsibility, not your job, not the IRS, yours alone. My example is always this. Your light company calculates your bill for you and sends you a bill in the mail, right? Well, taxes work completely different. You have to calculate your taxes, and then you have to be responsible for paying them, okay? And the way that's done is through the W-4. If you're not using the W-4, then you have to pay what's called estimated tax payments, which are due every 3 months, okay? If you have a job, you can either choose to pay it every 3 months, or you can have the money withheld from your paycheck every time you get paid, okay? But you have to calculate it in order to know how much you have to pay to the IRS. If you're using the questions on that front page of the W-4, you're doing it all wrong. That's the reason why you have a lot of married couples that owe taxes every year, because they aren't filing their W-4s properly. The W-4 is 2 pages. The first page is what everyone gets. Most employers give their employees the first page. A lot of employers do not give their employees the second page. And even if they did, no one can explain to you how to fill it out, how to use it. That second page is all the math that you need for the first page to properly fill it out. You have to do the math. There's nothing else to it. You have to do the math. The reason why the questions are there on the first page is because the IRS and the government assumes that you are too stupid to do the math to figure out your own taxes. Question: if you had to figure out your light bill, could you do it? Yeah, you can. You take your starting meter number, right, at the beginning of the month. You go out and you check the meter at the end of the month. Subtract those 2 numbers, multiply it times the kilowatts per hour, add whatever service fees you have to pay. That's what your light bill is. If you're not doing that, how do you know your light company is charging you the right amount of money? You got to do the math. So here we go. It's real simple. You guesstimate your annual salary, okay? I suggest doing it every 3 months. You go back and you recalculate. Guesstimate your annual salary. Subtract your standard deduction. If you're single, it's $6,300. If you're single with kids, it's $9,250. If you're married, it's $12,600. Okay? If you're married, remember you have to add both incomes together when you're calculating this. Both incomes together. All right. So you subtract the $6,300 if you're single. Okay? And then you subtract another $4,000 for your personal exemption. If you're married, you have 2 personal exemptions, so it's $8,000. Follow me on this. If you have children, it's $4,000 per child. Okay? Subtract that from your income. What's left over is taxable income. All you do then is you go to the tax tables on Google. Just Google IRS tax tables. Back in the day, you used to have to go to the public library and get that thick booklet called the tax table, right? The tax table will tell you exactly how much tax you owe for the amount of taxable income you have, right? Once you know that number, all you do is subtract that number by the number of pay periods in a year. If you get paid every week, it's 52 pay periods in a year. If you get paid every other week, it's 26 pay periods in a year. That's the amount of tax that you owe every paycheck. You put that on line 6 of your W-4. That is the amount that you need withheld from every paycheck. No matter how much your paycheck is, they're only going to deduct that amount. That is so important, especially if you're getting overtime, bonuses, commission. If you're married, okay, you have to do this. Otherwise, what's going to happen is you're going to have a small paycheck. They're going to take out hardly any tax, right? Because the way the payroll software works is it takes your check amount and multiplies it times the number of remaining pay periods. That's how much this payroll software calculates you're going to make for the entire year. So if you get a $100 paycheck, they're calculating your whole annual salary is like $2,000, $3,000, right? and they're going to subtract your standard deductions, subtract your exemptions. At the end of it, they're going to say, oh, he doesn't owe any taxes. So they're not going to take any taxes out your paycheck, right? Okay, what happens when you get that $2,000-$3,000 check? Okay, well now the payroll software is going to calculate, you're going to make that amount for the rest of the year, and it's going to take out a whole bunch of taxes, right? The problem with that is at the end of the year, you have to pay taxes on your total salary, not one paycheck. So you have to calculate what that is. You have to guesstimate what your annual salary is. No different than Obamacare. Obamacare is asking you to do the exact same thing. And so many people are getting screwed up with Obamacare because they go in there and they ask you, what is your annual salary for 2016? What is it? You have to guesstimate it. You have to be able to do the math. Okay? And it's too easy for you not to do it. It takes 2 minutes. And if you can do it, if you have problems with it, you don't want to do it because you're lazy, call me. Okay? It takes me 2 minutes out of my day. I don't mind. Seriously. I can text it to you, email it to you, whatever. I'll tell you exactly what to put on your W-4 to make sure you pay only what you need to the IRS, okay? Conversely, let me say this. If anyone comes to me, okay, they're single, they have no children, they're not in school, you know what I tell them? Why the hell are you filing taxes in the first place? What is your reason? Because you have no tax credits. You get 0 tax credits. There's no point in you filing taxes. Pay what you owe to the IRS. Okay, if they owe you $5 or $10, tell them to keep it. No need for you to file taxes, right? It's ridiculous that in this country we have a tradition of filing taxes for a tax refund because we overpaid the government. Stop doing it. Stop overpaying. Seriously. If your light bill company sends you a bill in the mail for $100, do you give them $150? Of course not. Why would you give the IRS more money than what you owe them, right? Because you have to calculate what you owe them. It's your responsibility. All right, and if you can't do it, call me. I can do it for you, free of charge. I'm not asking for nothing. I just want to help because we have to get better. We have to get better. 469-6080-TAX. 469-6080-TAX. That's 469-608-0829. Thank you, and I just arrived at work.